Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video we are going to be doing some coloring. We're all trying to get really great dimension in a short amount of time. So this is a little trick that you can use. You can see the before on the left and the after on the right. This is a live edited replay from a week or so ago. Poppies are a memorial flower, and obviously today is Memorial Day, and so I thought that it would be a good idea to share this, but basically I just wanted to do something that was more in line of what you would see with a Memorial Day card, which is not going to be like a happy Memorial Day card. It's going to be more of like a thinking for you, because Memorial Day is, in memoriam of those who gave their lives. So I thought that the poppies would be a nice take on that. So here is how we're going to get the dimension. So typically when we're die cutting, a lot of people, I like to use white cardstock because then I have all the controls over all of my dimension. But a lot of people use colored cardstock. And then that way you don't have to add anything else to it. And I totally get that. It makes sense. It's fast. It allows your card to have some dimension without really having to put in too much effort. And I think all of us need that kind of card sometimes. But sometimes we also kind of want a little bit of a special card, one that has a little bit more to it. That isn't as flat as maybe just the colored cardstock would offer us. But we don't necessarily have the time to start out in white cardstock and do all of the coloring ourselves. So I think all of the cardstock I have here, I'm pretty sure all of it is Spellbinders. And so I have a light, a medium, and a dark for the poppies in the reds. And then I have the green for the stem and then the black for the center. I actually think this also has a green center. And I'm going to cut 3 of these. So I had already pulled out, I think it's called the Land of the Free. I'm not 100% positive. I'll link it below. I had already pulled that out to do the background with. And I thought that the blue would be very striking with the red and green. And obviously red, white, and blue, that's very fitting. So I'm going to go ahead and run these through, and I'm going to cut out all 3 of them. So as I just am cutting one out, then I'm just going to tape it back down and cut it through again. While we're watching me do that, I do want to mention that Honeybee is having a Memorial Day sale. It's 20% off site-wide, which is huge because Honeybee doesn't just carry their own products. They carry inks and cardstock, Spellbinders cardstock. They carry tools. They carry all kinds of stuff. So 20% off is fantastic because you can apply it to anything on the website. And also, if you're unfamiliar with them, they do a free gift at $100. So if you spend $100 or more, then you get a free gift. I'm pretty sure right now it's the Thinking of You with the coordinating die. It's like a little sentiment with the coordinating die, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, so that is through tonight at midnight. I also have a lot of other crafty deals that I have found around the internet over on my blog. I will link that below if you are interested in seeing those and doing a little bit of shopping today. If not, that's okay too. So I'm going to glue these together. This is another kind of like time saver for me personally, because normally I cut all of my die cuts out of white and then I shade I mark the shadows, I shade all of them, and then I glue them together. So gluing them together first is also going to save me some time. So your base layer goes on top of the stem, and then you have your middle layer, and then the front piece is kind of like curled up and over. Then the center goes down into the middle of the little black center, and then the green one goes into the middle of that. These are very easy to put together. This is actually from the Lovely Layers Wildflowers, and I've used them countless times, so many different times, because I think they're a really good size. A lot of the Lovely Layers are very large. They've come out with some minis now too. But I like these ones. These ones are just like a good size to like use with other things. And I do love to build a little scene, a bouquet, a something, something, you know what I'm saying? So these are all put together. So using the colored cardstock as the base is actually going to cut our time in half for our coloring. So I'm still using a 4-color blend, but I'm not using 4 colors for each layer. I'm using like 2 colors for the shading and then 1 to just blend it out into the cardstock. So this base layer I'm going around the bottom. This is the other thing about this video that you may notice, and please feel free to speed it up if you're like, Kelly, why are you moving so slow? This is real-time coloring. This video is only 17 minutes long, and it includes, this is just, I didn't even speed it up, real-time coloring, so that you can see how quick this goes. The whole live stream that I did, in which I colored all 3 of these flowers, was not even an hour long. So it really does cut down on the amount of time that it takes to do the coloring. So I went around where one object lays on top of the other, so the other petals are laying on top of the base. I went around that with my darkest color, and then where it dips in, poppies are very roughly flowers. Where it dips in, I just did a little flick or a little triangle of color from the outside edge in. And then I'm going to go right over top of that with what I call my dark midtone. In this case, it's an R29. The R35, we're not actually going to be able to see. And if you don't have as many colors as I do, you don't have to worry about it. I'm only using the R35 to soften those previous shadows that I've put down, because it matches the color of the cardstock. So once that moisture evaporates from the alcohol, you won't even see that color. Then going into the midtone, I'm going to use the R29 as my darkest color, which previously was my dark midtone. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a little bit of shading down where it's meeting the center. And then here you can see I am flicking in from the edge wherever it dips in. I'm flicking in and doing just a little triangle. That way it's going to give the appearance of being a little bit more roughly. And then I will also flick out from the center. Then once again, I am going to use the next color, which in this case is I apologize for it freezing there. It must have frozen the actual live. I'm going to use my light midtone, and then my lightest color is going to be the one how we're going to blend this out. You can still see the regular color of the cardstock. We're only, using, just like I said, those 2 colors to really add any dimension. And then I am going to bring in a third color for this top one. This is Dahlia, which is a little bit lighter than what we've been using, but we're going to be able to make this work because we're adding that extra shading. This one is flipped up. So what you see me doing here is showing, like, when it is flipped up, how it works to where you're going to add the shadows. So for this one, we're going to add the shadows at the bottom, where it would be like kind of bending up and over. We're still going to do those little triangles. It's a smaller piece, so I'm not really extending the triangles out as much. I still want to retain that regular color of the cardstock. And then I brought in an R20 to be my blending color, like to match the color of the cardstock. And then, so now this flower, like the petal portion, is done. It's really quick. Just adding those little triangles and adding the shadows where 2 points meet is going to give you a considerable amount of dimension, and having that colored cardstock means that you're not responsible for all of the color. And a lot of us are able to move past it a little bit faster because we don't have like that white paper scare, when it's just like white paper staring up at us and we don't know what to do with it. Or where to start. Like with the colored cardstock, it feels more manageable because the color's already down there. So it makes it more approachable. For the leaves, these are like the nicest looking poppy leaves I've ever seen. In real life, poppy leaves are very like scraggly. So their illustrator did a fantastic job drawing these. But I'm just going to add a little bit of shading kind of up the center, and then on the bottom portion of each section of the leaf. So this isn't going to be, I wouldn't say it's not the most realistic shading, but having those shadows kind of down at the bottom and then the lighter areas in between is still going to give our leaf a lot of dimension. Like you can just see the ones to the right and this one to the left. And then I've also added shading on the stem where the leaf is joining the stem. That would also have some shadows there. And again, this isn't anything, there's no light source. We're not messing around with anything like that. We're just just going in and adding the shading to the bottom portion of each leaf section and then right up the middle. That's it. That's all we're doing. And then once we have the darkest color down, which in this case is a YG67, then we're going to go over it with that mid-tone, the YG17, and then the YG03 is actually the color that's going to blend it right out into the cardstock that we're not even really going to see. Lighter colors in alcohol markers kind of pick up darker colors and it helps them to blend. Plus it adds more moisture, and alcohol markers blend in the fibers of the paper. So having more moisture is going to help them to blend a bit better. But if you don't have all of these colors, you could always, as your lightest color, you could use a colorless blender. I would just come in from the outside edge versus going over the other colors because you don't want to remove too much. So now here's that transition. The one on the right is the one we've colored. The one on the left is how it originally looked. And they have a ton more dimension just with this quick little thing. And we didn't have to color the whole thing from scratch. I did forget the center, which actually somebody in the live stream, I think it was Jennifer, very kindly pointed out because I totally missed it. So again, with that one where they met, the bottom leaf, I just added a little bit of shading there. And now I have all three of them. Loving the way this looking. They are poppin'. Man, these poppies are poppin' indeed off of this blue cardstock. This is Cosmic Sky from Spellbinders, and it's one of my favorite ones from them. I think I use it more than any other colored cardstock, except for maybe In the Navy by Gina K, because Spellbinders doesn't have a good navy. But anyway, so then here I'm going to do some tone-on-tone stamping because the background felt very plain, but I didn't want anything competing with those poppies. So I'm going to do this kind of this freedom-ish, very patriotic background. I'm just inking that up with some navy ink, and I am going to stamp that onto the background. I'm just taking my time, make sure I'm tapping all over to get good coverage. So we are doing a memorial cookout. We always do a Memorial Day cookout, and that's also when we celebrate my sister's birthday. So actually, after I voice this over, I'm going to be making her card, which last year I had bought these stamps, and because of just the way that things transpired last year, I didn't have an opportunity to make her card. So I'm revisiting them, and I'm excited about it to be able to use these stamps. Love the tone on tone here. This is like such a great way to bring more to the card design without overpowering any of the focal point. Here, these are all obviously the same exact flower. In order to make them work a little nicer together, don't be afraid to trim your die cuts. So I'm actually the one at the top. I wanted more leaves up there, like there wasn't enough greenery. So I'm going to trim it. I'm going to cut the flower head off from the base of the stem, and then I'm going to reattach it lower down on the stem so that the leaves are higher and it fills out my little bouquet here a little bit more. It's also, I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom right one, and this is going to allow me to manipulate the balance of the bouquet a little bit better. So don't be afraid to like trim them and reassemble them, or trim off parts that don't work for you. Or you could even like trim off the leaves from one side of the stem and then tuck them into another area. You could do lots of stuff to make this work for you. You don't have to just accept the die cuts as they are. So then here, again, this just worked better. So that way I can kind of angle it how I need it and then attach the flower where it works. I'm working with the threes. That's a nice balance. We typically want to work in odd numbers for design because if we work in pairs, our brain tries to pair it and then it's not as pleasing to the eye. So working in odd numbers tends to work better. So like here, if I had maybe the spring flowers, I think it is, the Lovely Layer spring flowers, they have like little like white flowers that it looks like Queen Anne's lace. Like you could cut some of those and like tuck them in here, and then I would do 2 of those so that I would have 5, 3 red, 2 white. And then that would give me, my odd number. So there's a way to kind of like build this out. I used these I used the wildflowers in another card. It was actually a card that I made my mom with the mason jar, and it worked really, really nicely, just like I said, because these are such a good size. So I've adhered them to each other, and now I'm going to go ahead and adhere them down to the card, to kind of like the right-hand side. And then the sentiment I'm going to put kind of down to the bottom left, so that it balances everything out there. This is another piece of that Cosmic Sky cardstock. The top part, I did a video on where I added metallic to like a custom paint job for the car, the pickup truck, which I love the way that one came out, and I really need to revisit those Oh, that's the 20% off sale. If you've been sleeping on those Lisa Horton metallic inks, you could get those because they sell them there, and they would be 20% off. And maybe I'll go buy some more. Don't tell my husband. Okay. So anywho, so we are going to do our little cookout, and I'm excited for that. But I've already made cheesecake tonight and pasta salad. Tomorrow I need to make my sister's birthday cake. She wants chocolate strawberry. And then what else do I need to do? Oh, ranch veggie pizza and mac and cheese, because my kids, that's what they eat. So anywho, I'm just going to run this through here. And this is the Thinking of You. This is from the Perfect Peonies set. Dawn Woolsagel illustrated that, and it's amazing. And it's got a lot of really great sentiments. I added some shimmer, and then that was it. That's the whole card. So I encourage you, if you're going to be doing some shopping today, to please check out the Crafty Deals page. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.